Welcome to the Church Universal series, where we seek to tell the often untold story of the many apostolates in the Catholic Church which are making a positive difference in the world through their charitable works and prayerful lives. Is the Church's liturgy something separate from the Church's mission to evangelize? Or do they rather go hand in hand? Hello, I'm Father Joseph Mary, and today I'm speaking with two men who founded the Source and Summit Institute, which works to promote authentic liturgy as a source and summit of the new evangelization. My guests today are Adam Bartlett, President and co-founder of the Source and Summit Institute, and Father Daniel Cardot, co-founder of the Source and Summit Institute. Welcome again to both of you.
Thanks. Good to be back.
So last time we talked about your project with the Lumen Christi Missal. What is the Source and Summit Institute?
Yes, well, Illuminare Publications, we talked about last time, it was founded 7 years ago. And from the beginning, we realized that there would be a need for formation in training, really, as part of this mission. Illuminare and the Lumen Christi books have provided resources, practical liturgical resources for parishes. But really the big picture in regard to what parishes need is much larger. So the Source and Summit Institute is responding to that need. And not only is focusing on helping parishes celebrate the liturgy beautifully, but in a way that is connected to the Church's mission to evangelize, which we find in the message of the Second Vatican Council and from all of our modern popes.
Right. So Father Daniel, so often we think about liturgy and new evangelization as two different things that are separate. Are they really?
They shouldn't be. And in fact, when they are, when we see them in completely different areas of the life of the Church, they falter. In fact, St. John Paul II said that when the effort for liturgical renewal and the effort for new evangelization don't go hand in hand, they both will falter. We see that many times. People who are really concerned with the liturgy can become this kind of
closed sort of thing.
They like the sophistication of this or that, not really connected with the life of the people. But at the same time, we can see the risk as well when the only concern is activity and projects and evangelization in that sense. There's something missing. So the connection between the two is absolutely essential, and that's why we wanted to call our new initiative the Source and Summit, because that's what the Church teaches in the Second Vatican Council, that the sacred liturgy is the source and summit of the life and mission of the Church.
So we can't give what we don't have. So we need that life of grace through authentic and beautiful liturgy that feeds the deepest needs that we have in our soul. But then also, it's ite missa est. We are sent out, right, to be agents of the new evangelization, to bring new people to the faith, to bring them to the Lord. So that's what you're really trying to achieve here.
Well, that's right. And what the liturgy is about, the Church teaches, is the glory of God and the sanctification of the faithful. It puts us in contact with God. It brings us, really does, into a participation in the heavenly liturgy. So that's the way that we worship, is through Christ to the Father and the unity of the Holy Spirit through the liturgy. But as a result, God fills us with grace. He feeds us His body and blood and fills us with His divine life. Not so that we can hoard it for ourselves, but so that when we go out, we go forth, that overflows into everything that we do. We live beautiful lives. We form beautiful families. We make beautiful things, and we have to make that effort to witness to the God who we've encountered. And this is the natural way that it must flow in the Church's mind. And not only that, once the liturgy flows out into the world, we have to direct ourselves and our efforts back toward our fundamental encounter and our fundamental
Yes.
relationship with God and participation in his life, which again we find in the liturgy. So it's almost as though the pilgrim journey of the church is, a circular, it's a helical path, really.
Yes.
We flow outward into the world and then draw the world back to Christ. And this is the path that we're constantly treading as Christians.
And the goal of all evangelization is to bring all to the table of the Lord so that they can have this living encounter
Absolutely.
with the Lord too, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of, you've put an incredible amount of work into producing the Lumen Christi Missal. And I commend you on that because it's going to be a very helpful resource. It already is for us, as I mentioned last time, for the EWTN Mass. But now you're talking about formation. That's the source and summit. What are some elements that you're going to hope to achieve to help people to be able to utilize these resources now that you've created?
Right, well, it's sort of a twofold task. On the one hand, there's the practical element. We really want to help parishes, and we are helping parishes celebrate the liturgy beautifully. So we need to teach people how to chant the Mass, how to use these resources,
Right.
we need to train cantors and other liturgical ministers to carry out their function properly. But even more critically, more importantly, is there's a liturgical formation that's needed to help everyone. And this is not just musicians, this is not just clergy, although those are important roles. This is all of the faithful to enter more deeply into the mystery of the liturgy. And that's it's really a mystagogical catechesis that to help us understand the form of sacred art and sacred
Right.
music and gesture and word and all that constitutes the liturgy, but to move through that form into its inner reality. And that's something that's necessary to achieve active participation. So it's training and it's formation and it's inspiration too.
Right.
Because this is a beautiful vision that is not, I think it's underappreciated. People don't realize the significance that resides, the wealth that's available to them
Right.
in the sacred liturgy.
And I will add that we see our mission as, in some way, filling the gap that there is precisely between this wonderful vision that is out there, especially the vision of the Second Vatican Council, and the reality of so many places, churches, parishes, which in many cases would like to do something about this, but maybe don't know how, or don't have the
Right.
resources.
So we've talked about the resources you've created. Are you collaborating with successful groups in the new evangelization? So we know there are a lot of groups you can think of, Focus and other things like that. Are you collaborating with new groups working in the new evangelization to collaborate for different things?
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's a critical part of our mission as well. We're really focused on the liturgy, but in light of the whole of the church's mission, specifically the new evangelization, we're in Denver. So we're in the land of the new evangelization, right? John Paul II visited there in 1993 and launched the new evangelization in the Americas, and apostolates like Focus and the Augustine Institute and countless others have been born out of Denver. So I have been collaborating with Focus for the last 4 years now in their national conferences. We've put together a student choir comprised of attendees to these national conferences. We've had a choir of 50 students, mostly music majors from around the country, who come together and form the choir for the conference masses. And they sing chant, and we sing beautiful polyphony, and the sacred music tradition of the church is just on display. And I'll tell you, it's amazing to hear 13,000 college students singing the chants of the Mass at the top of their lungs in a conference center. It's really, really amazing. But also we've done some work with Focus in equipping and offering formation and training for their summer new staff training. So 500-600 missionaries in training come together for 5 or 6 weeks every summer, and they're chanting the Mass day by day in a very, very simple way.
Right.
But these are prime moments of formation for missionary disciples. So the Focus collaboration really has been just a tremendous blessing.
Well, we have a couple of videos of you working with the Focus people. Why don't you give us the introduction for this first video?
Yes, so the first video is actually not the choir that I described. It's they call themselves the Focus Collective. It's the contemporary music ensemble, which provides music throughout the entire conference, not only for the liturgy, but in all other capacities. But within the liturgy, they've implemented the antiphons, just as we've done with the choir. And they do it really in a quite beautiful way. So I look forward to sharing this here.
And you and I are musicians, and when we were younger, right, we liked more contemporary sort of things. So I think this is a way in which you're utilizing what their skills are and what they're using, but also to bring them that connection with the chant.
Absolutely.
So let's take a look at that now. So Adam, explain what the viewers just saw there.
Wasn't that beautiful?
That was beautiful.
So that was an entrance procession for one of the Sikh conference masses, Focus. And you could hear that there was a hymn at the beginning, "O Come All Ye Faithful,"
Right.
Everyone knows it. And there were acoustic guitars and the light drums and so forth, which is not unusual probably in a lot of our parishes. But what happened, and we cut a little bit of it out, but there was a transition in the same procession to the entrance antiphon for the day. And I believe this was a memorial, not a Sunday Mass, but a weekday Mass. And the cantors sang the entrance antiphon. They have some beautiful strings in the background, a little piano. You heard some cymbal swells and things like that. And she sang it very beautifully, and everyone sang it right back. And then verses from a psalm continued with the repetition of that antiphon until this very long conference Mass procession concluded. So it's just really great to see these young contemporary musicians picking up in the chant and doing it so well, and it's just really heartened by that.
It was beautiful. And the psalms were accompanied by the lyre, right?
Well, yeah, there you go.
There you go. So let's talk about the second video we're going to be seeing now.
Right, so this next video is, I believe, the day following, and this is the student choir, or Schola, Cantorum, that we put together, and they're doing essentially the same thing. So we began the entrance procession with a hymn, accompanied by organ, and there are some beautiful strings as well. And then we transition immediately into the entrance antiphon, and it has a little bit more of a traditional solemn texture, but you'll see that we're doing really the same thing.
Beautiful. Well, let's take a look at that now. That was beautiful. So that was a little more solemn that we heard,
Yeah.
choir, but still equally, beautiful.
Yeah, the same form is there.
Mhm.
It's the same text that the church has given us. The word is primary.
Right.
You can see even in the contemporary kind of context, the instruments are pared back. Here there's a light organ accompaniment, some strings, but really chant is about the primacy of the voice,
Mm-hmm.
which brings to life the Word of God, the living Word.
Right.
He's acting in the liturgy.
Right.
So this is what it's about.
And it can be used in a variety of ways. I think that's what you were hoping to show here, that it's not just one fixed way that a parish might be able to utilize this, but a variety of ways.
Yeah, and I think I'll echo what Father Daniel said, that we're really trying to help create a path upward. I mean, we have the heights of the tradition, and that is a cappella Gregorian chant, and there's a proper way to do that, you know. And it's very beautiful, somewhat complicated music in a lot of ways as well. And for parishes to jump right into that, the leap is a little too far. So we need to bridge that gap. We need to create stepping stones, and I think that it's bearing fruit. It's successful.
It is. You can see it right there. Father Cardot, talk about other collaborations that you have going on.
Yeah, we've been working also with other groups like the Augustine Institute. We've taught for a couple of summers some classes precisely on liturgy and evangelization, and that's been very fruitful as well. And we've been discussing a number of different possibilities for more collaboration. And then also there's a very strong connection with Christ in the City, which is a wonderful apostolate born in Denver as well, in which missionaries, young missionaries, give a year or two of their lives to serve the poor. And their spiritual life is very much informed when I'm the chaplain, so when we say Mass, we use some of these antiphons, and some of them also come to other events which we organize or to a parish. So that connection between being fed by the liturgy itself and serving the poor or going out and evangelize is seen in a very concrete, palpable way there.
So you see this as still something valuable for the church today. What you're doing is something that's valuable for the church today. It's not just something that says, well, we don't need to be going back to that things, but something that actually will be an enrichment for the new evangelization.
Right. Well, I mean, we're in a time, an extraordinary time in the life of the church now, a time of where there's a need for renewal. And,
yes.
And Cardinal Ratzinger, before he was Pope Benedict XVI, famously said that the church stands and falls with the liturgy, which is a very striking statement. That I think that some might say, well, when we're facing such grave challenges in the church, wouldn't be fiddling with the liturgy and its form and the way of its celebration be like arranging the chairs on the deck of the Titanic as it's sinking, and I'm sure that some people might perceive it that way, but it's not that way at all. Actually, celebrating the liturgy rightly is these are the rescue boats,
the rescue boats, yes.
Because the source of the renewal of the church comes from the liturgy, and if we're not celebrating it well, if we're not drawing people into a deep, fruitful, grace-filled participation, I mean, what do we have to give?
Right.
Where will the renewal of the church come from, if not from the liturgy?
Yes, and you think about, it's not very high percentages of people who are attending Mass, Catholics who are attending Mass. Why is that? My own opinion on that, part of it, is that they want to encounter the sacred. They want to have that sense of the sacred, not just something that they're experiencing out in the world, maybe on a higher level, a group, but they want to experience the sacred. Have you found that?
Absolutely, and I think this is something that we find in a particularly striking way among young people. I mean, why would you go to Mass if you're not going to encounter something different? That's exactly what they want. And the renewal of the church comes from the renewal of the liturgy, because that's where we encounter God. And God himself is going to not only sustain us through difficult times, but give us the strength to bring authentic renewal and reform. And I will add one more, even practical argument for this. Many, and probably certainly most of the people that are there every Sunday at Mass are not particularly involved in other ways. So many times we think and say a lot about going out, which we should. But those who are there are too many of those who probably don't have as we've been saying, a very authentic, personal experience of discipleship.
Right.
Where are they going to get that? Not if we organize more talks on a Wednesday evening. They're not going to come. But they are there. So the liturgy, authentic sacred music, good ritual, good homilies, that's going to make the difference.
Have you found that college students, young people, are attracted to this sort of thing?
Without a doubt. I mean, I think there's something in the millennial experience right now. We talk a lot about millennials, but you know, that demands authenticity. We see that in other areas of our culture. We see it especially in things like food.
Right.
You know, we see the hipster movement and things, but there's this demand for what is true, what is authentic, what is real. Of course, we're facing a startling, alarming situation in the church that 90% of this generation who have been baptized and confirmed in the faith have effectively left the practice of the faith, and this is a real problem. There are, you know, the people who are sitting in the pews who are not completely there, but the younger generation don't have an obligation still to come and check out, so to speak. So there's a real need to foster and feed and form missionary disciples within the liturgy so that they can go out and evangelize their peers and draw them in.
Right.
The liturgy is not the place to evangelize. That's what the Catechism tells us.
Right.
That participation in the liturgy assumes faith and conversion, right? And then we come to the liturgy in order to be fed and to be filled with grace. So a lot of times I think we've confused those categories, and we've tried to make the liturgy evangelical, but no, evangelization is supposed to be happening ad extra.
Right.
And really, if we can form missionary disciples well within the liturgy, especially the young who are so drawn to transcendent beauty, they can renew the face of the earth.
Beautiful. We'll be going to the shrine tomorrow, and Mother Angelica told me once that the shrine where the Blessed Sacrament is exposed is for people to encounter God. And of course the liturgy where we have the Mass. Then there's a castle where you have knights and you have saints and St. Michael. That's to show you how to go out now with zeal and courage, you know, like the saints of old. So we're coming to the end of our program here, but if people want to support this initiative that you have going, how can they support this initiative? Where can they find out more?
Well, you can visit us at sourceandsummit.com to learn more about our offerings. But we are a nonprofit 501c3 organization, so we're able to accept charitable tax-free donations. And we're launching out this year, so we're building up toward the fall right now to offer resources to parishes, and so we would really be grateful for the support of the faithful who are supportive of this mission, who want to help make an impact in our parishes. Because we have practical resources that can really make an impact.
Right. Well, it'll be well worth it. So thank you both for coming. Are you looking for ways to evangelize and renew the life of your parish and inspire missionary discipleship? Perhaps the Source and Summit Institute has the resources to help you to do just that. May God bless and guide you. We will see you again this time next week for another episode of the Church Universal.